Today we are going to be changing out the chain on my Stihl MS 193 and 194T. I'm going to be swapping out one bar and both the chains. You're going to need a 1/2 inch drive or a T-wrench and a flathead screwdriver. First you're going to remove the bolt. This bolt does not screw out all the way. It just screws until it's off of the threads on the inside of the bolt on the inside. And then you pull back on the safety mechanism for the chain and you pull it out just like so. You're going to want to clean all this out, get it all nice and pretty again. Remove the bar. This one's still good. I'm going to keep this one. Just going to clean it off nice. This is the new chain going onto this one. I'm going to do the same thing for that one. You're going to want to clean all this stuff out. What I do is I take the end of the flathead or this T-wrench, if it's a flathead T-wrench, and I'll just go through and I'll scrape it out and get everything out of there. Clean all this out. This is like right where that oil dispenser is, right here. See this? Bam. Bam, right there. It comes out. So it's got to be completely cleaned out. Alright, so for me not having a compressor to blow it out, it's a little more difficult for me, but it's pretty clean. I'm going to go ahead and run this and get the excess off. It's always good to just run it a little bit. I notice when it's got no bar and chain on it, just a little bit, just to get the excess off. Going to want to take your flathead and loosen this here. What it does is it brings this little notch back. That notch goes onto the bar. It's a little pulley system, or there. If you loosen it before you put the bar and chain on, it's a little easier. That way you don't gotta fight with the chain to get it on and then tighten it to get it back on. You're gonna want to pay attention to the way the blade is going and the direction it's going, because this would be backwards here. So if we put this on like this and it went on and the blade goes this way, it's not going to cut nothing, because this right here is what cuts it, this little tip. So I'll show on this side of it. So it's got the opposite way, the correct way. As the chain moves forward, it will cut with the tip right there, and right there, right there, right there. After getting the chain on the bar and this hole hooked up here, you're going to want to press down on this side as you tighten this bolt right here with your flathead. You want to turn it right clockwise until it slides this little bar up far enough to make this nice and tight to where it'll hold itself. You don't want it super tight, but we're going to tighten it a little bit more after it's on. We get the guard on. Remember, when you're putting the guard on, you have to maneuver this piece here to go into that hole up and around this arm, this piece here, into that little groove there. So just like this. Remember that this has got to be released in order to go back on. See how it's not on, and then it's on. Oh. After you get this over and on there, and then put back the guard on, and then tighten the bolt, good to go. Add oil and gas. Like I said, fill up the gas halfway, fill up the oil the full way. When you run out of gas, check your oil. You always want to have oil in there, otherwise your bar is going to get completely dull within one tree or even half a tree. And finally, the same thing with this one. Clean it out. This is not so bad, so I'm going to reuse it. Loosen this up. Try and get it as far down as you can without. You want to pay attention because there's a little groove there. You see if this thing's. You see that it's round and it kind of like fits there. You don't want it to close all the way because if you do, it'll tighten too much and this thing will pop out and you'll never get it to unloosen again. So you have to go in and get this whole piece redone. I've done it so many times that I just know better now. I can actually fix them now, but before it was a pain. But just avoid it. Don't loosen it too much. Just enough to get this bar on. And then the chain around it. Also, when you're putting your bar on, you also want to put it on the right way. It doesn't really matter. It'll still work, but it'll be an upside down Stihl, and we don't want that. Once you get your bar on, you got it already loosened down all the way enough. Again, make sure you got this going the right direction. This tip needs to be going forward in order to cut because it spins in that direction. Otherwise, you'll just be sitting there cutting nothing. Don't tighten it down too much, but make sure it's tight enough to where it's not going to loosen up on you as you're going to use it because it's going to vibrate a lot. It's a chainsaw. It's what happens. So just always periodically check on it. Make sure it's not loosening on you after you change the chainsaw blade just in case. When filling up with bar and chain oil and gas is very important not to mix the two. To tell, this is a little gas tank here, and this is a little chain with a little drop of oil going to it. Always check every time, and you don't have to worry about ever making a mistake. One thing that I would also like to stress, and I mean it, is don't over tighten your chains. This is still kind of a little tight for me, but it's in a very tight spot. Also remember, there's always a tight spot in a chain and a loose spot, so just spin it around and figure that out. Find out where the tightest spot is and adjust it. You don't want to have it too tight because if you have it too tight, it's going to burn up the chain way faster. So just something that I learned along the way. A bunch of the old heads taught me that. So if you're doing it right, you save your old chains. And you see that little thing hanging there? I need to get a new bit for it because it kind of fell and hits the wall a little bit there, but yep, you use that thing right there, you plug it into the wall, and you go around each one of those grooves and you just sharpen the tip and go back and sand the top of it, and you got another fresh life in your chain. Because believe it or not, these things are not cheap, around $30 a piece, so don't fuck around and get caught spending too much money on something you could easily reuse. Same thing with this bad boy and the blades underneath. Hey, look there. Those all can be sharpened and reused again.